Bonjour, everyone. Hi, this is Neshi Lokotz. Welcome to Star Nations Organization's YouTube channel and my Sunday through Thursday live stream show called the Spiritual Roundtable. Today is Wednesday, July 3rd. I hope I put that correct date on there. And I have to say, this is my maiden voyage, my very first YouTube live, because usually we're doing it over at Facebook. But this is a good thing. This is a good thing. We just kind of follow our intuition and go for it, right? And so today is a brand new kind of experience, and I'm kind of glad we're doing this. It's kind of exciting. So, what is this live stream all about? Right? Well, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Neshi Lokotz, Yvette Neshi Lokotz, and I am the steward, the CEO of Star Nations Organization. And Star Nations Organization is a multimedia company that has many different avenues of communication to help you, our audience, our students, the readers of our magazine, to assist you in your soul growth, right? It's all about your spiritual journey. And if you're looking for a spiritual community or just support in maybe the things that you're going through, and if you're looking for information, right, for your soul journey. And so that is the basis of Star Nations. Under Star Nations, we have the live stream shows, and we also have the Academy and the publishing end, which houses our monthly spiritual magazine and also any of the books that we might publish. So that's us. That's Star Nations. But today's live stream, the Spiritual Roundtable, is a show that goes from Sunday to Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time those days. And, it's all about the divination card draw that I do in the mornings. And I've been doing that for literally decades. And about a year ago in May, this past May, my spiritual team gave me the nudge and, let's do live stream. Let's share the information on live stream, because I had been taking a quote and putting it on our Instagram account, but they wanted us to take it one more step, and that was to do these live stream shows around the divination cards. And so the intention for the card draw is to show, I'm talking to my spiritual team, to show me the most important energy that's flowing today that could be helpful for our soul growth, and that's for our highest good and the highest good of all. So it's not an individual card read, okay? It is more about a global or a community card read. And so what is most satisfying to me and enjoyable is that we have a spiritual conversation around the divination card. And so that is the premise. That's the intention for the show every day, Sunday through Thursday. And I tell you what, this is going to throw our community over at Facebook off a little bit, because they're used to me being on right now over there. And so I'm just kind of give them a little time to come and join us. I'm getting used to this studio. Yay. All right. Our social media manager, her name is Stephanie Williams. I see that she's busy. She's busy making posts and comments. And so, welcome everybody. Welcome. I am so happy to be here. I'm kind of jazzed about it. It's something new. And where I'm broadcasting from is Star Nations Academy here in Tomah, Wisconsin. Yeah. So this is where we usually have our in-person classes. And when we're not having a class here, this is where I produce all my shows, right? Not just my shows. We have 14 different spiritual-based shows on Star Nations Organization, or live stream shows. And out of the 14, I produce, I think, maybe 5 of those. And so, yeah, we cover the gamut. So here is the deck that we're using this month. And I haven't gotten the nudge yet to change card decks. Some of you might find this familiar. It is oh gosh, it's backwards. Flip the camera around. Don't know where to do that in this studio. Let's see. If I do that. All right. So I'm going to ask my audience. Hello, guys. Hello. I'm used to being able to show your comments on screen. Hello, Julie. Hello, Eulines. Now, if anybody knows how I can flip my camera around, that would be helpful. It'd be really helpful. Let's see, what's this? Nope, that's the sharing button. My microphone. All right, well, it's going to be backwards. All right, here we go. It is the Spirit of the Wheel meditation deck. And the author is Linda Iwashina, and the illustrator is Jody Bergsma. And both ladies are from British Columbia, and they're basing it on the Native American medicine wheel. Now, the Native American medicine wheel, there's one wheel, right? But there are many interpretations of the wheel, and none of them are wrong, and all of them are correct. It just depends on where you're at and what your belief systems are, okay? And so we've been learning quite a bit about the medicine wheel through the lens of those indigenous people from the Northwest, okay? Northwest of Turtle Island. All right. And if I knew how to turn that camera around, I would do that. Let's see. Okay. Well, Yuling is sharing that, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Yulings. There's something weird going on in my life. I used to always be really insecure, scared, and so on. And no way in hell I would talk to a girl I liked. Afraid of rejection. Well, maybe you might be able to get some information that will help you through the card draw today. We'll see. Now, I do apologize. Okay, these are going to be backwards. If I knew how to turn it around, I would. All right, so here we are. This is the first card that came this morning, and it is cleansing. It's about the spirit path of the north. The spirit path of the north. The words associated with this card is releasing burdens, detoxification, and energy flow. Yeah. In the spirit of the north, in the wheel that I'm familiar with, which is coming from more of an Potawatomi, that's who I'm enrolled with. Those are my people. The north is about the stone people. It's about earth. It's about our ancestors, right? And the star beings. It's about stability and wisdom. Yeah. And so when we're talking about cleansing, releasing burdens, and detoxification and energy flow, that tells me that that Spirit is asking us to take a look at what do we consider burdens? What do we consider burdens? Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to show you the artwork on here because it's really fabulous. Get the glare out of there. So, you can really feel that Northwest indigenous energy. They have the bear in the north. But see all the power animals and totems in the clouds, in the snow maybe? Yeah, it looks like bear in a couple of different ways. Feathers. And the image in the far back that's in color, I would call that a star beam, right? It's part of our ancestors. Yeah. All right, so the author, this is what she says about this card. She says, the cleansing card signifies a time to release some of your heavy burdens and responsibilities. Cleansing means detoxifying on every level, spiritual, physical, emotional, and mental. Okay, all four bodies is to release and detoxify all of those bodies, right? And you know what's interesting, I think, is the timing of this, right? Because we just had the solar eclipse yesterday. And on my weekly show in the evening on Tuesdays, my guest was Julie Hedges, and she is our astrologer here at Star Nations. And she was explaining about the eclipse energy, right? And about the letting go and releasing. And so when I saw this card this morning, I was thinking, I'm thinking that spirit is also making sure that we get that message about the releasing, about the cleansing. It says, over time, burdens create negativity and fatigue, which continue to build if we do not release them, and breathe, which continue to build to release them, and breathe our way into a cleaner, healthier lifestyle. It says, learn to live in the moment and move along with life's circumstances rather than fighting them. So in other words, getting into the flow, right? Getting into the flow rather than resisting. And so one of the things that I was thinking about this morning is that what's a burden? What's a burden? And if we're considering all of our bodies, what's a burden in each one of those bodies? And I suppose it could be one particular burden, but it goes across all of your bodies, right? So it's usually something heavy, something that we have to carry, that we feel or think that we have to carry around with us, right? Or that that it's a compulsion to do, right? And so what I did, see if it's still here, I actually looked up the word burden. It says it's a noun, that which is carried, a load. That which is borne with difficulty, obligation. And it also, related words is duty, responsibility, strain, difficulty, trouble, anxiety, worry, concern, affliction, overwhelmed, oppressed. Does any of that sound familiar to you? When I was reading over that dictionary description, definition, it's like, what is it that we have to let go? What is it that we have to cleanse, right? And cleansing can happen in many different ways. Many different ways. I'm just checking the chat. Hang on. Okay. Yeah, it is a beautiful image, isn't it? Okay. Thank you, Stephanie. She's saying for the newbies, okay, who haven't seen the show before, that Neshi does not do individual cards during the show. The premise of the Spiritual Roundtable is to understand the energy of the day, right? And so the energy of the day with this particular card, I believe, is for us to take into consideration, to actually do an evaluation for ourselves, right? What burdens, do we define our burdens? What are they? What are they in your physical life? What are they in your mental body? What are they in your emotional and spiritual bodies? Right? Sometimes we can't change the circumstances that occur within our lives, but we have but we do have control over our own reactions to them, right? To let things unfold now, even if you are fearful of what lays ahead. So many times, we're afraid of, our fear is about the unknown, right? One of them, anyway. And one of the things I say almost all the time in my shows is that when we have something to heal, when something's happened in our lives and it brings up that fear, is to really try to get to the root of it, rather than dealing with the symptoms. Is to get to the root of it. And how do you do that? How do you do that? My suggestion always is to have good communication with your spiritual team. And your spiritual team consists of your spirit guides, your spirit teachers, your power animals, your totems, your angels, your ancestors, your star beings, right? So, and we have many ascended masters. And so is to turn to your team and ask them that question. Tell them what you're dealing with. They know already, right? And tell them that you want to get to the root of it, to show you what that is, tell you what that is, and then to help you, to bring to you the resources to deal with it. To bring to you the optimal healer, whether it is a Reiki person or a shaman or a Western medical doctor or whatever healer is the optimum for you to deal with the situation. Perhaps it's going to be a whole team to help you, right? And ask for what you need. If you need financial resources to pay for it, if you need assistance with finding good child care or pet care while you go to these appointments, and or maybe you do a retreat, okay? So you're actively working on getting to the root of the problem, of the fear. And it's said that when we face our deepest fears, on the other side of that is our deepest desires, right? So in the energy that we're in this eclipse that just occurred yesterday, we can tap into that, into releasing the burdens and detoxifying, right? And to actually look at and take in the energy of that eclipse, and even the energy of this card, in the flow of it, in the flow of the energy, and considering it to be a gift, right? Rather than the universe is doing something to you and sending this energy through on the wings of an eclipse, rather than it doing it to you, the universe is doing it for us, right? It's a gift. It's a gift. And so how are we going to take that gift? Are we going to turn it away at the door? Are we going to say, thank you, but no thank you? And you can, right? You can, because we have free will. And with that free will, you can do that. When those things in your life, right, that are floating to the surface, the truths are floating to the surface, or those things that you are will be healing or addressing, when they float to the surface, do you take a look at them? Do you say, okay, what am I supposed to do with this? How am I supposed to heal this, right? What is this life lesson about? Or you also have the choice to push it away, to suppress it, to repress it, and wait for the next opportunity to come back around for you to have that opportunity again to take a look at it, to heal it, clear it, cleanse it, and release it. Right? Yeah. Which are you going to choose? it's hopeful that you would choose to resolve it in the best way for you to resolve it. Because every time we go through a life lesson and we do the cleansing, we do the healing work and the releasing work, every time we do that, um, you get closer and closer to your original vibration that you came in with. And not only do you heal yourself, but you also do a healing that's going to affect your ancestors and your descendants. And we say, Indigenous people look at it 7 years or 7 generations backwards and 7 generations forward. Right? That the life lesson is yours, the experience is yours, right? But the wisdom is also yours, but it also encompasses both your ancestors and your descendants. Yeah. It's big work. It really is. All right, I'm going to check the chat here, and I'm trying to get used to this new studio. All right. Let's see. Oh, good. Stephanie is asking for people to share. Oh, and good one, Stephanie. Stephanie, thank you so much for letting people know about our YouTube channel here at YouTube. Oh my goodness. It's hard to change, you know? Kind of in a rut. Gotta change my vocabulary a bit. And okay, looks like Rob's with us too. All right. Okay, well, we're going to go and talk a little. You know, I really like this author and these cards. And one of the things that she does with these cards is that each card has a prayer with it. Each card has a prayer with it. And so the prayer that goes with this particular card is, I open my mind, body, and spirit to the cleansing I need. Through the release of my burdens, I am more open to the love and support of myself and others. In releasing my burdens. In releasing my burdens. Yeah. So I think it'd be really, really helpful is just to do your own introspection, right? Your own reflection is like, what do I consider a burden? And in my life, in my bodies, what is that burden? What am I ready to resolve? What am I ready to cleanse and release, heal and release? What is that? Because we have energy right now that's really supporting us to do that. Yeah. What do you think? Do you suppose that burden could be something that maybe is even generational? That's what it feels like. It feels generational. More than just past life. Maybe something that each of the generations in your family has carried in. And even if you're adopted, okay, even if you're adopted, you're still carrying it because you were born into that particular soul group, right? And you also have the opportunity to look at your adopted family soul group because you're a part of that one too. So how can you reframe or shift your perspective of what is considered a burden, right? Yeah, what you consider to be taxing, that heavy load, that strain. And if you release it, if you cleanse it, detoxify it, release it, man, that frees up room. It frees up energetic space for you to bring in something else into your life that's more supportive, right? that that you can actually use your gifts. Maybe it's a creation, maybe it's a manifestation, manifesting and using your gifts. But you create more room in your life for something new. Yeah, and something that maybe will help you in your soul growth, right? Because you know what the burden is that we've been carrying it around for a while, right? Yeah. Let me give you an example, and I've used this one before. Is my dad, who walked on, that means passed away, in 2010. He was 88 when he walked on. And he had a sister, had one sister. And growing up was very difficult for them because they grew up in the 30s. Um, so they lived through the Depression. Right? And his mom, my grandmother, passed away, walked on when he was 12. When he was 12. And his sister is older. And what his sister did is got married when she was really, really young. She must have been maybe 15 or 16. And of course, she went with her husband, right? Even though she had little brothers that didn't have a mom, she left them. So my dad really felt like not only did his mom leave him, but his second mom, his older sister, left him. Right? And he carried that around with him his entire life. Now that's quite a burden. Quite a burden. And affected all of his bodies, his entire life. So here we were sitting in a VA nursing home. I think, no, he was in the hospital at that point. And he was talking about his sister. And she had passed away, walked on, I don't know, probably about 10 years from there, probably around early 2000s or so. And so she was already gone, right? She's already back in spirit. And he was telling me the story again, and I kind of leaned forward and I said, Dad, how old are you when that happened, right? And he told me I was maybe 12 or 13. And you're 88 now. Don't you think it's time to let it go? You know, you've been carrying this around all these years, all these decades. And the only one you're hurting is you. You know, and he looked at me and he says, I never really thought about it that way. I said, yeah, you've been carrying it around with you for, 70 years. When are you going to say when? When are you going to let it go? Heal it and let it go. And so what he did was he ended up talking to the VA chaplain about it. And I think, he did the best he could in letting it go. Must have, because that in September is when he walked on, and we had that conversation. It was probably in July, I think, June or July of that year. So, but that's an example. Do you want to carry something around with you for not just months, not just years, but in some cases, decades, right? Yeah. So, consider that. Consider that and take some time to identify your own burdens and what those are, and how can you get help to release them if you need help. Here's the second card. The wisdom card. The wisdom card. Note, it's number 33. The master number, right? The ascended masters. And the number 33 is the stone placement on the medicine wheel. Wisdom is the path of the East, spirit of the East. It's about universal law, learning, and sharing. And for me, the spirit of the East, the wisdom of the East, is about our mental thoughts. It's about the spirit of air. Right? And so it's about our mental mind. And that's that's the door that we come through when we enter this physical life. And so our journey here in the physical world, on the wheel, we're going from the east to the west. We're going from our mental thoughts to our feelings, our emotions, our heart, which is in the west. And that road that we travel is all about our life here on earth, all of our experiences, right? And so when we're talking about releasing and detoxifying, letting go of our burdens, all of that has to do with our life lessons too. And that's where we gain our wisdom. That's where we get our soul growth from. And so when we start out in the East, we're really pretty much in our mental mind and our thoughts, right? It's not like when we're babies, but I would say, by the time we enter school, when we start studying, we live most of our life in our minds, in our brains, right? And so this card is talking about the wisdom of the East. It's talking about that universal law, learning and sharing. And so the author says, standing in the, oops, I'm sorry, wrong one. The author says, is that a teacher may be appearing on the scene. So give him or her the honor and respect deserved. Wisdom is a gift that should never be taken lightly. Look for teachings everywhere around you. Okay. So as I was considering how this card is backing up or assisting that first card, is that perhaps we can take a look at our burdens as one of our teachers, right? When we get to the root of whatever it is, it's going to be a profound teaching. Profound. And so when we go through those kinds of life experiences and we get the wisdom from it, where do we take it? What do we do with it? We take it back to our community, right? We share it. We do whatever we need to do to learn the life lesson, have that experience, but we take the wisdom back to our community. And in the indigenous world, that's called walking the red road, or the good red road, is being helpful to our community. And what's our community? It's not just our family. It's just not our town or our village. In this case, this is your global community, your universal community. It's all my relations. In the Lakota language, they use matakuyasin. In the Potawatomi language, we use the phrase yage nagonan. It's all our relatives. So whenever we do our own personal healing, when we detoxify, when we release those burdens and we free up that room to use our gifts, that wisdom that we gain from all of that, we can share with all of creation. That's what it means to have soul growth. That's my 2 cents anyway. All right, I'm going to check the chat here. Stephanie has been very busy. Let's see. Oh, good. Thank you, Stephanie. I completely forgot about the mailing list thing. All right. So I'm looking at the time. I'm going to show these 2 cards together. Oops. Dropped a card. Hang on. I just want to make sure I cover. Oh, universal law. Forgot one. The universal law. It says that according to the universal law, you're in a position to receive something valuable. Balance the scales of spiritual justice by sharing your gifts of wisdom with others when the right moment comes along. So what I was just talking about was what the good red road. That's the universal law, is sharing your wisdom with your community, with your relatives, all of them, in the right moment. Right? She says that remember, wisdom in all its power always leads us to further enlightenment. I like that. And the prayer that goes with this particular card is, Great Spirit, I open my heart to the teachings that are all around me, and I am thankful for the wisdom I receive. I'm aware there is a spiritual law governed by a higher power that exists on the principles of unconditional love and compassion. Unconditional love and compassion. It's a good prayer. Yeah. So I'm going to show these two cards together. And one of the things that we found very helpful when we share the cards together is to take a nice deep breath in and calling to your spiritual committee, to those in the unseen, in the spirit that assist you, and asking them to help you to take in as much of the information coming through the cards as possible that's optimal for you. Because we see it with our physical eyes, but we take in much more information through our bodies than that. And so whatever is meant for you, you will be able to take in and use, right, for your own personal life. So the first card was about cleansing, and that's coming from following the spirit path of the north. It was about releasing burdens and detoxification, being in the energy flow. And the second card is about wisdom, and it's following the path of the east. It's about the universal law of sharing your wisdom. It's about learning. And what can we learn from the burdens that we're releasing, that we're cleaning up, detoxifying it, right? And when we do that, we're in more of the flow of the energy. But this can teach us a whole lot about ourselves, about our connection to spirit, and about love and compassion. So where do we start, right? Where do we start? My suggestion is to identify what is the burden that you've been carrying. Which one is the most important one for you to release and detoxify from it, so that you can find yourself in the flow of the energy rather than in resistance. And then you take the wisdom that you gain from all of that and you help someone just by sharing your story. Just by sharing your story. Right? Yeah. So this is what I normally say just about for every show. And that is, whatever resonated with you in the information that was shared today is to embrace it. Embrace it. And then watch, see, sense, feel how the energy of today is unfolding around you and where this information may be helpful. Yeah. And if it didn't resonate with you, no worries. Don't worry about it. It's okay. You're not going to hurt my feelings or anyone else's feelings if it didn't resonate with you. It's okay. There's always the next card draw that might be meant for you. And I always say that maybe you're the messenger. Maybe the information wasn't necessarily for you personally, but perhaps you might know somebody who it would be helpful to. And you can share the recording show to them, right? Yeah. And then you're done. It's like, okay, did my thing, right? Yeah. Um, and when we do that kind of sharing, it's really out of love and compassion, right? And there could be somebody who has been looking for a certain kind of spiritual community as well. And so you can share that with them through the video, and they can actually decide for themselves if this is something that they want to be involved in, which is Star Nations. Yeah. All right. Now, this is where I would normally say our upcoming shows are. And we might do, I'm not sure how we're going to do that. We would normally have a show tonight called Soul Connections. And the live stream show host for that is Polly Jo LeBay. And Polly Jo, this is her weekly evening show. And it's all about divine healing and messages. The divine healing is she and her spiritual team create a sacred space, and they hold that container for us. And what we do is we show up, especially light workers, energy workers who might be putting themselves last on the list for self-care. Yeah, that happens a lot. And so you can bring whatever it is that you're working on to heal, that intention with you. And then you show up with your spiritual team, you call to them, and you and your spiritual team work on that healing piece while Polly Jo is leading us in a healing meditation. And then the second half is all about an individual card draw. And if you enjoy that sort of thing, you can show up and you can request a card, and Polly Jo will draw a card for you and read it for you. Yeah. So, but I'm not sure how we're going to do that tonight. I'm not sure, because we're usually on Facebook, and we're using our partners at Be Live TV. And I produce her show from she's in Massachusetts. I'm in Wisconsin. And so we'll see how we're going to do that. You might see us back here on YouTube. At any rate, tomorrow is July 4th. And July 4th, I am taking off. And so this particular show, Spiritual Roundtable, will be back on Sunday afternoon at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Yeah. And so I invite you to check out our website, starnations.org. And that will show you, just kind of come and visit, kind of stroll around and see what you like there. We have the magazine, the classes, the live stream shows, all kinds of information there for you. And maybe you can join us for another one of our live stream shows. Yeah. So with that, well, okay, wait, I got to check the chat and make sure I didn't miss something. I don't think so. Thank you, Stephanie, for posting all of our many items through Star Nations. Okay, so if you are looking for a new spiritual teacher, if you are looking for a spiritual-based community that is very eclectic in topics, you might enjoy coming over and joining our spiritual community, whether it's here on YouTube, whether it's on Facebook, on Twitter, or on Instagram. Okay, look for us, Star Nations Organization. With that, enjoy the rest of your Wednesday, and we'll see you back here on Sunday. Maybe I'm going to figure out how to do this to simulcast. I have 2 cameras. I'm going to figure that out. You might see me back here on Sunday. All right. Enjoy your day, and we'll see you again. That's Bama Mina. That's Potawatomi for until we see each other again. Love you guys.